the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Christ is in our midst.
He is, never shall be.
And happy Independence Day. As we celebrate the 4th of July, Independence Day this year, I think we have a lot to be thankful for. If you were to contemplate your life in the United States, the freedoms that you have, the various levels of prosperity that we live in, the freedom for us to gather here today and express ourselves, to worship God, the freedom to go out and work in an economy, to be charitable, the general sense of safety that most of us have had throughout the entirety of our lives. I think, of course, there are many other places that we could be, and there are many other great places, and we never want to minimize the problems that we have in the U.S. Of course, we have our problems. We have our historical sins and otherwise. But we have so much to be thankful for, so much to be proud about. Proud in the humble sense, proud in the sense that we take pride and ownership in a dedicated love and responsibility for our country. We have so much. Today we also celebrate the saints of North America. Traditionally, after Pentecost, and then secondarily after the week after Pentecost, there is a celebration of all the saints of any various regions. So in Russia, they're celebrating All Saints of Russia today. As we look at the saints of North America, we are challenged with our thankfulness to think about our day and age. I want to stare too. What did the various saints do with the freedom they were given? You see, one of the problems we have, and one of the maybe master schemes of the devil, is that we have, in this country, total freedom to pursue Christ. We can be as zealous, as religious as we want to be. We can pretty much found communities. We can do, there's just so much freedom. We have the freedom to communicate the message of the gospel in detail, in public, all over the place. We have the freedom to build charitable organizations that help people, churches. And anyways, the list goes on of what our freedoms are. But the flip side of that freedom, the flip side of the freedom is that each one of us has to choose to do it. We don't have a government forcing us into the religion of the people. We don't have a government that is going to protect us from sin. Not anymore. We don't have a sense nowadays as a country of some common moral standard that we can all stick to and hold each other accountable to. We actually have so much freedom that we can do whatever we want. And here's one of the issues with that. Because of our level of prosperity, and because of some of us, for the darkening of our hearts, we often don't choose to pursue a life of holiness. Now, people died in Russia under the communist yoke so that they could go to church, so that they could worship freely. We have people dying within communist China for their freedom to worship, for their general rights and freedoms. These are all given to us, but because we often take them for granted, we actually weaken ourselves. We think the freedom is freedom to sin, freedom to become more broken. And of course, this is the great irony. The irony is that although our parents and the former generations and those who fought in the wars have passed down a prosperous society to us and have passed down so much good, as I believe, I don't remember, maybe it was Ronald Reagan said, we're only one generation away from losing everything. And everything depends on our hearts and our minds and what we do with them. So we're meant to take the saints of America as an example of what we do with our freedom. Certainly St. Innocent, who sacrificed himself and his family founding churches, building up the Alaskan people. We can take the example of St. Herman, who fought on behalf of the oppressed, who tried to, in some way, take those native peoples and release them from slavery and give them some hope of redemption by showing his love by founding orphanages. We have, like St. Alexis, the ability to lead vast amount of people into the Orthodox faith. We have, like St. Raphael, the ability to travel all over this land, to go and meet people personally, and to have transformation. As you study the lives of the American saints, you will see the proper use of our freedoms. The freedom that is, first of all, responsibility for ourselves, responsibility for our culture, responsibility for others, but secondarily, the freedom that means that if we don't become holy, that if we don't pursue Christ, that if we don't become saintly, ultimately it wasn't the world that was holding us back, it was our very selves, because the society would allow us to do it. So as we head through today and we continue to be grateful for everything that our country has given to us, may we also pray that the various problems that we have be healed and be brought to justice. And finally, may we take the lives of the American saints and dedicate ourselves while we have freedom. We don't know what the future holds, but to dedicate ourselves to pursuing righteousness, to pursuing justice, to making the love of Christ the center of our lives, while we're not distracted by persecution or oppression. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, Christ is in our midst.